What is wrong with this team? Everything. I don't know what is wrong. Like it's just never easy, is it?
Lin Dunn didn't simply criticize Stephanie White. She practically fired a missile at her, full throttle, with no intention of slowing down. And right now, Indiana Fever fans are in full meltdown mode. What's happening inside the Fever's front office has officially crossed into full-blown chaos. Let's be clear. This situation isn't just dramatic. It could deeply impact Caitlin Clark's future in the league. This isn't your average coaching disagreement. This could completely reshape how the WNBA handles its top-tier stars. What are your thoughts on front office execs dictating how once-in-a-generation talents should be coached? Should Stephanie White be shown the door? Or is she just getting started and needs more time to prove herself? Drop your opinions in the comments, because I'll be real with you. My vote? Fire Stephanie White. Yeah, I said it. Let's not sugarcoat what's happening. It's a full-on organizational circus. And I'm here to break down every explosive twist of this ongoing soap opera out of Indianapolis. Lin Dunn went nuclear on social media. And when high-ranking former executives start venting in public, you're not looking at sparks, you're staring at a raging inferno inside the franchise. And just to be clear, this is Lin Dunn we're talking about, the former GM of the Fever who still holds a significant role with the team, though nobody seems to know exactly what that role even is. Her message was blunt. Don't expect players to execute what you never bothered to teach. Let's rewind for a moment. This season started with sky-high expectations. Indiana looked like they were building a powerhouse, adding proven veterans with playoff experience. Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, each signing looked like a chess move from a team trying to go deep in the postseason. On paper, they were building the Avengers. In practice, it's looked more like a preschool art project gone wrong, disorganized, messy, and completely directionless. But here's where it all truly falls apart. It's not just about losing games, it's about what they're doing with Caitlin Clark. You've got one of the most electrifying offensive talents women's basketball has ever seen. She didn't just break scoring records, she shattered social media and brought millions of new eyes to the league. So what's Stephanie White's big idea? Take the ball out of her hands and plug her into a lifeless, robotic motion offense that's draining the excitement right out of the game. This system is doing more harm than good, and let's not ignore it. Sydney Colson at point guard has been downright brutal. The offense is painful to watch. For those lucky enough to have missed it, here's what the motion offense looks like. 5 players endlessly tossing the ball around like they're playing hot potato, just praying for something to develop. That might fly in a high school gym, but it's completely out of place in a league full of elite athletes. When you've got a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, running a system this stiff isn't just a mistake, it's almost criminal. Imagine buying a Ferrari and locking the speedometer at 20 miles per hour. That's what this offense feels like. 0 fast break points. Let that sink in. 0. Not one transition bucket, not one push off a turnover. That's not strategy. That's sabotage. Remember what Clark did at Iowa? She was the system. She dictated the tempo, directed traffic, and lit up the scoreboard like a human cheat code. Just last week against the Liberty, she was responsible for 54 points, between her scoring and assists. That's what happens when she's actually allowed to run the show. But Stephanie White? She's acting like giving Clark full control is some kind of coaching sin. Instead of unleashing her, White's cramming her into a system that strips away everything that makes her dangerous. And then the bomb dropped. On social media. Lin Dunn, once the Fever's general manager and now awkwardly floating in a vague senior advisor role, had enough. She took to the internet with a not-so-innocent post about how you can't expect players to execute plays that aren't drilled in practice. Harmless on the surface? Maybe. But anyone with eyes knew who she was talking about. The shade wasn't subtle. It was a spotlight. Stephanie White became ground zero for criticism, and the internet lit up. Even Ken Swift posted a meme mocking the coaching situation with a photo that needed no caption. It burned. And this wasn't just a heat-of-the-moment reaction. This came right after yet another lifeless performance, where the Fever looked like they were playing 5 strangers in mismatched jerseys. Clark appeared visibly fed up. The crowd? One more broken possession away from storming the court with pitchforks. Dunn's post didn't just throw shade. It laid out a detailed blueprint of everything broken with White's coaching decisions. And fans? Oh, they're done playing nice. One brutal fan comment said, "The faithful are turning on White, and fast." These aren't casual viewers dropping in once a week. These are die-hard supporters who've stood by this team through years of irrelevance. If they're done this early, that's not a red flag. That's a neon sign flashing. We've seen enough. Let's be real. They weren't just bad before Clark got here. They were embarrassingly bad. And here's the thing. Good coaches adapt. Good coaches find answers. But does this squad play defense? Nope. Not even close. They're not contesting shots. They're not boxing out. They're not even pretending to rebound. The only reason their numbers look halfway decent is that the opposing teams miss shots. It's not effort, it's luck. And luck always runs out. That falls squarely on coaching. What's even more frustrating? This disaster wasn't some unavoidable surprise. Analysts and fans had been warning the front office for months. Everyone knew that forcing a creative, instinctual player like Clark into a rigid, slow-developing motion offense was a recipe for disaster. People begged the Fever staff to build a system around her strengths. But Stephanie White clearly thought she knew better. And now? The scoreboard tells the truth. And here's the twist that'll fry your brain. White was recently fined for calling out referees in a press conference. But maybe, just maybe, she should be less focused on officiating and a little more concerned with her own dysfunctional playbook. Because the real problem here isn't a few missed foul calls, it's everything happening before the whistle even blows. What makes this situation so outrageous isn't just the losing, it's the fact that they're squandering a once-in-a-generation superstar. Let's break out some numbers real quick. When Caitlin Clark is on the court, Indiana's offensive rating sits at 107.5. The moment she steps off, it plummets to 82.2. That's a 25-point nosedive. That's not a dip. That's a full-scale offensive implosion. And I'm sorry, but there is absolutely no excuse for recording 0 fast break points in an entire game. None. That doesn't happen unless you're deliberately avoiding transition play. It's like they're coaching with the brakes on. Someone nailed it online. No defense, no offense, no heart. Outside of Lexi Hull and Aaliyah Boston, the energy was non-existent. And even Boston can't be blamed. She barely touched the ball. This so-called motion offense that's supposed to create flow and encourage smart reads? It's doing the opposite. It's smothering playmakers and grinding possessions to a halt. And here's the thing. Clark doesn't just see passing lanes. She predicts them. Her court vision operates in 4K, while everyone else is still buffering. She needs space to improvise, to launch those no-look dimes, to create. Instead, she's been reduced to a glorified decoy, swinging the ball sideways and standing still. It's like telling Steph Curry to stop shooting threes and only take mid-range jumpers. Why would you limit a weapon like that? And don't even get me started on this bizarre decision to take the ball out of Clark's hands entirely. This woman is already a basketball icon. She led Iowa to back-to-back national championship games, shattered every major scoring record, made the WNBA must-watch television, and, let's not forget, has already become a first-team All-WNBA player as a rookie. You don't tame that kind of greatness. You let it run wild. But what did Indiana do? They stripped her of control. They pushed out the coach she trusted. They dismantled her vision before it could even breathe. And I hate to admit it, but Lin Dunn might have had a point. She once said that turning this team around should be a 5-year mission, not a 1-season fix. Looking at this mess, she might have been right all along. And let's not forget who Lin Dunn is. She's not some random commentator throwing out hot takes. She's the architect behind Indiana's one and only WNBA championship. She coached them to glory in 2012. She knows what a winning organization should look like. So when someone with that kind of legacy starts ringing alarm bells, you'd better listen, because that's not smoke. That's a full-on organizational wildfire. Still not convinced Stephanie White's system is the problem? Just glance across the league. Look at Las Vegas with Aja Wilson. Look at New York with Sabrina Ionescu. Both are being empowered. Both are being built around. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Clark is being benched in her own offense. Those other franchises, they build around their superstars. They don't bury them beneath rigid schemes or strip away what makes them special. They spotlight their strengths, empower their skill sets, and let them lead. Honestly, I think she nailed it. She was absolutely without question, right? And what did Indiana do? They fired her. As if that would magically solve everything overnight. They cut her loose for a quick PR patch job. And honestly, that's just disappointing. The Fever entered this season with banners of championship ambition waving in the wind. Caitlin Clark made her mission clear before the first jump ball. This was about chasing a ring. But let's be real. How are you going to win a title when you keep your most dangerous asset locked in a cage? It's like entering the Indy 500 and capping your top speed at 60 miles per hour. You're not even giving yourself a chance. And let's not forget, the WNBA is stacked this year. The Liberty are torching teams with elite offense. Minnesota is still dangerous. And veteran powerhouses like Las Vegas and Phoenix are peaking at the right time. If Indiana wants to compete at that level, they have to stop playing scared. Motion offense works for some teams, but this isn't a faceless roster. This squad is built around a once-in-a-lifetime talent, a player who can flip a game on its head with a single behind-the-back dime or logo 3. You don't ask a Ferrari to cruise in first gear. And you sure as hell don't water down Caitlin Clark. You don't squeeze her into a mold. You build the entire offense around her instincts. This isn't just about strategies and schemes. It's a deep identity crisis. Do you believe in your superstar enough to give her the wheel? Or do you pull her strings from the bench, forcing her into patterns designed for less capable players? Adapt to greatness. Or settle for mediocrity. That's the real decision every front office has to make. The entire country is watching this unravel like a slow-motion car crash. Everyone sees it. The wreck is coming. But nobody's hitting the brakes. Lin Dunn's recent post might have read like a vague leadership note, but beneath the surface, it exposed a major divide. A philosophical split between those calling the shots and those writing the playbook. A power struggle over how to use the most important athlete in franchise history. This isn't about who runs drills at practice. This is about who's setting the vision for the team. And let's be honest, fans have already jumped ship. I know I did. Not after Game 1. After Game 2. I could see where this was going, and it wasn't good. What amplifies the drama even more is Stephanie White's past. She brought this motion offense over from her time with the Connecticut Sun. And yes, it worked there. But that roster didn't have Caitlin Clark. You can't just copy and paste a system and expect it to click with a player this unique. You're not coaching Connecticut. You're coaching Caitlin. It's like asking a 5-star chef to make instant noodles with Kobe beef. You're throwing world-class ingredients into a cheap recipe. That's exactly what Indiana's doing with Caitlin Clark. They're pouring elite talent into a low-ceiling system and expecting gourmet results. Motion offense sounds nice on paper. Everyone gets a touch, the workload is shared. But basketball doesn't work on fairness. It works on results. And when you've got the most dynamic offensive weapon on the court, your job is simple. Put the ball in her hands and get out of the way. Clark thrived at Iowa because she was given space to operate. She wasn't boxed in, she was the system. She averaged 28 points and 8 assists a night by leveraging her vision, IQ, and creativity. Now, Indiana's turned her into a background character, shuffling through off-ball screens, swinging passes without purpose, and hoping something happens. It's backward. And it's exactly why Lin Dunn's pointed criticism struck such a nerve.